My name is Abigail Douglas. My topic is health and medicine, and for this presentation, I chose to focus on prescription drug prices, especially in regards to the inflation rate of EpiPens. So, the inflation of prescription drugs is not a new phenomenon. It's been around for decades and longer. It affects hundreds of countries, but it especially affects millions of Americans. So private insurance, Medicaid, and Medicare are often not able to cover the copays. EpiPen in particular is $300 with insurance. And at times, families are having to choose between life-saving medication, which includes EpiPens, and bills, food, other expenses that are also completely necessary. And so there are a few categories of risk, people that are at most risk, and those include those with severe allergies, the elderly, and especially children. This is a quote from AARP, and this is by the CEO, Joanne Jenkins, and she reports, in 2017, the average annual increase in drug prices was 4.2%, which was double the rate of inflation. And this quote just kind of shows you how astronomical the inflation rate is allowed to go, especially in America, and facing the most at-risk categories of people. So one way to combat this is the Medicare Prescription Drug Plan, also called Part D. And so this is run by the federal government, and it's a plan for senior citizens with insurance who are 65 and older. And basically, this is just working to lower prescription drug costs, considering that they are in one of the highest risk categories. And this is just one option. So all that this program requires is that the medication have FDA approval, which EpiPen does. However, with Medicare and the federal government, there's uncertainty whether or not this will be able to continue. And so this is a threat long term to millions of Americans, especially if this program is no longer going to be around. So EpiPen in particular, this is a picture of it. They typically come in a pack of 2, like in the picture, and they last for about 18 months before you need to basically buy a new pack. So it is an injectable, a self-injectable medication to stop anaphylactic shock. So say you got stung by a bee and you're allergic, you would carry this with you, and then you would inject yourself with this, and this would ultimately stop your airways from becoming so swollen. And Mylan Pharmaceuticals is the company that owns the rights to this medication, and the CEO of that company is Heather Bresch, and she has come under a tremendous amount of fire. So in the 7 years that this product began to be controlled by Mylan Pharmaceuticals, the rate of inflation rose by almost 500%. In particular, in 2009, the cost of a pack of EpiPens was $103.50, and then by 2016, the cost was $608.61. So you can see just how much the price increased in 7 years. So the history of EpiPen is best told by Seven Pillars Institute, and basically this institute is a group of financial planners that are basically concerned with the ethical responsibility of other companies. And one of their reporters in particular is named Andreas Mayasharo. Sorry for pronouncing that wrong. And he reported that in 1977, epinephrine, the fight or flight hormone, began to be synthesized. And this is what is contained in EpiPen. It's synthesized epinephrine, And what this does is when you inject it into yourself, this allows your body to naturally begin to reopen breathing airways and basically saves your life. And then he also reports in 2007, Mylan Pharmaceuticals purchased the rights to EpiPen. And this is just one of their products. They have a whole majority of products, but this is by far their top seller. So David Korczak is an expert in the pricing of medications, and through his work, he admits that research and development costs are commonly included in the inflation rate of medications, which is included, of course, in EpiPen. And so he's quoted saying that EpiPen price increases up until 2013, by which time the price of a 2-pack had risen to $264.50, could justifiably be explained as compensation for research and development costs. But this is it. So basically he is saying that EpiPen and Mylan Pharmaceuticals should only be charging up to $664. Beyond that is just inflation and greed. And Mia Charo, who is from the Seven Pillars Institute, also is quoted saying the manufacturing cost of EpiPen is estimated to be under $10 per 2-pack. So, it costs less than $10 to make this, but the inflation cost is just completely astronomical. And so Mylan Pharmaceuticals Company came under a series of lawsuits, but the first lawsuit is the largest and the most important lawsuit. And so this was filed by the Department of Justice versus Mylan in 2016. And this is on the basis that Mylan claimed to have created a generic form of EpiPen, which would have lowered the cost before insurance to $300. However, there are some problems with this. For instance, companies do not often create their own brand of generics. And one reason that Mylan did this was to create a monopoly so that other companies could not form a generic. And they also said due to the wide usage and manufacturing of epinephrine, the active ingredient that is in EpiPens, that they had the right to claim it as generic because it is so widely used and it's not just unique to their company. However, the lawsuit and legal system ruled that a generic form could not be sold on this premise, and Mylan ultimately was forced to reclassify EpiPen as name brand. And ultimately, there was a $465 million settlement between the Department of Justice and Mylan. Also, I wanted to mention that Mylan has a 25-year patent on EpiPen, and after that, companies will be able to create generic forms, which will drastically reduce the price. But until 2025, the cost of EpiPen is basically what is deemed by Mylan. And so this is a video from Wall Street Journal, and it shows Representative of Tennessee and Heather Rush, the CEO of Mylan, kind of going back and forth on her reasoning and basically what bipartisan support shows is not just.
Ms. Bresch, I just wanted to try to get inside the mind of a large drug company CEO for a minute. When did you guys sit down and decide after 2008 you acquired the EpiPen? When did you decide to use this model of price increase, and how did you come to that decision?
It was first recognizing the fact that there's a severe, shockingly low understanding of anaphylaxis, and there was a shockingly low number of people who were prepared or protected with EpiPen.
So you decided you should raise the price?
No, sir. We committed to investing in this product, which we have about over $1 billion over this 8 years to provide access.
Okay, and how much have you made over 8 years?
It is absolutely our largest product, but
No, I just said how much have you made? You said you invested $1 billion. You know how much you invested. How much did you make?
I don't have the cumulative
really?
number.
So
But-
you know what you spent. Okay, do you think that you were charging too much? Do you think $600 is too much? Or are you going to keep rising the price?
Sir, which is why we took the unprecedented action of putting the generic in at
No,
$300.
okay, no, we're not going to, we'll get to that. But did you plan on increasing the price in 2017?
No, sir, we did not. plan
Okay,
on
but you
raising
did have
the
a plan then to raise it every year for 5 or 6 years?
And if you look at what we received
No,
out of that
not
money,
and. I just asked you a
six-
question. Did you have a plan to raise the price every year for 6 years?
We
and
have
then
raised
stop?
the price. We have raised the price, and I think managing to what we received, that 274 out of the 608, is what we were managing.
So, you're obviously proud of your company. You think that was fair then to raise the price each year to that point, even though you got a drug at $100, which was probably too much for the drug considering what the cost is. I know you made a fancy clicker because I had one of your reps come by my office back in 2009 or 10, show me how to use it. So I know that costs a little bit of money. But generally, when a drug goes to generic, doesn't the price go down?
Which is why we dropped it to $300.
Only after you jacked it up to $600. It's like if I go buy this tie and they say it's $600, but we're going to sell it to me for $300. That doesn't make it worth $300. You fixed the price on the drug, and now you know. When did you know you were going to release the generic?
We announced it several weeks ago.
Okay, but when did you know as a company? I mean, you knew it was coming. You got a gentleman sitting next to you. It takes months, maybe years.
No, sir. We're putting an authorized generic in the market, which is equivalent to.
Okay, so
EpiPen.
we're supposed to feel good because you've taken a drug that you're overcharging 6 times what it's worth, and you're going to drop the price to $300.
Sir, we were receiving 274 out of the 608.
Do you think you were charging too much at $600?
Sir, we believe it was a fair price, and we've just now lowered that price by half.
Okay, so this is just showing how greed can really come into play. And as it's shown, she did not feel bad that it had risen to that price. And in fact, they thought it was fair. And for this reason, for my self-evaluation, I had heard about the lawsuits against Mylan, but I didn't know exactly all of the details. And learning about that, I'm really disgusted by the high rate of inflation, especially considering that EpiPen is a life-saving medication. And it especially troubles me that Americans are oftentimes forced to choose between this life-saving medication and other necessities. So, for that reason, I am upset. But that was my presentation. So, thank you.